Families can be tough.
But watching movies isn't. Hi, I'm Jack.
And I'm Groot.
No, you're Jaden.
Oh, I'm Jaden.
Did you forget?
Yeah, I forget sometimes.
Okay.
But we're here today to do another review. So this is our second review, so we're so happy to be here. Last time we did Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
And this time we're going to be doing Avengers Infinity War, the biggest moneymaker movie of 2018.
Yeah, and for probably Marvel, right?
Well,
Black Panther.
Not anymore.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
we are reviewing this after Avengers Endgame. Avengers Infinity War sequel has just come out.
Yeah, a year later. Today's also, as of recording, it's May the 4th, so happy May the 4th to everyone out there.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're doing Infinity War. Definitely, well, not definitely, but probably my favorite Marvel movie. Not only in just the MCU, but just Marvel movie out there. I really enjoyed Endgame. We're not going to do any spoilers for that, but I thought Endgame was good, but
yeah, I enjoyed Infinity War as well. I think Endgame topped it for me, but I really enjoyed Infinity War, maybe as a close second. And a lot of people enjoyed it because it did great in the box office, obviously. And the casting was great. There wasn't really new casting, I guess, but everyone they've cast in the Marvel Universe, I think, has been doing a great job for the past 11 years now.
It's Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
That was 2008.
Yeah, 11 years.
Yeah, especially Iron Man. Literally nobody else besides RDJ could play Iron Man. Like, think of one person. You can't.
Actually, fun fact, Tom Cruise actually auditioned to play Iron Man, and that would have been very, very strange. It probably wouldn't have done as well in the box office back in 2008. So it's a good thing Robert Downey Jr. did play him.
Yeah, right after his whole drug situation. But we won't go into that because I don't like to think of him like that.
Yeah, no one really does. But he has said that Iron Man possibly saved his life in a way with the whole drug problem he was having, because in order to play Iron Man, of course, he had to get off his drug problem and have a more stable life. And since he's been working with Disney and Marvel, he hasn't had a problem, at least publicly, since then.
Yeah. But less about drugs and more about the film. So I think we'll just jump right into this time. So it is has been out for a year, so we're making the video, so it's gonna be spoilers. So if you can't handle spoilers, I recommend getting out of here. Now that everyone's gone, that doesn't want to be spoiled. We open up on the crashed Asgardian ship that once held Thor and Valkyrie
and Korg
and Loki and Korg and not Odin because he died, but all them and a bunch of Asgardians. We open to that, and the ship is actually pretty much fully destroyed. It's everyone's just kind of dead except for Heimdall, Thor, and Loki. And Thanos is on the ship with already the Power Stone, and he ends up getting Thor tied down and Loki.
And Thanos is on the ship with his close allies called the Black Order, including Ebony Maw and a few others.
Something Glade.
Yeah, we don't really know their names. They're very alien sounding.
It's Ebony Maw, something Glade.
Let's not focus too much on
Proxima Midnight.
Oh yeah, Proxima Midnight. But also, actually, in the comics, Loki was part of the Black Order, but he did not get a chance to in this movie.
No, did not. Because after the opening sequence, Loki reveals to Thanos that he has the Tesseract, which, if you didn't know, holds the Space Stone. So he pretends to side with Thanos, tries to stab him in the neck. Thanos is not about that life, so he stops him. He ends up choking Loki, and he
snaps his neck.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
Hulk actually was in that scene as well. It's the only bit of Hulk we see in the movie. He's fighting Thanos, and ends up getting his butt kicked.
For the first time we've ever seen in the MCU, Hulk has lost his fight against Thanos, and Thanos didn't even use the Power Stone, which would give him a huge advantage over Hulk. He didn't even use that to beat him.
Strength. Yeah.
Just Thanos' pure strength. And in the comics, I'm not even sure if Hulk lost a fight, because in the comics he had much more power. He's basically unstoppable because the angrier he got, he got, the more powerful, strong, and I think bigger he got.
Yeah, I think he does get a little bigger. He's pretty much infinitely strong in the comics. As long as he's continuing to get more mad, he continues to get more strong, which is kind of like Red Hulk, but Red Hulk gets hot. Anyway, after that, we see where the loading sequence goes, and we see Bruce Banner. Is it Bruce Banner when he's flying through? He's like halfway through because he's like green. So he's like green Bruce Banner flying through space, lands in the Sanctum. Doctor Strange Wong immediately run over, and he delivers his lines of "Thanos is coming," and then it opens to Tony and Pepper
on a morning jog, just going out for a jog in the morning, and Tony is talking to Pepper that he had a dream that they were expecting a child, and Pepper says that they aren't, but
he also explicitly says that the child was going to be named Morgan, which is actually a reference in the comics, because Tony in the comics has a daughter named Morgan. So that was a direct reference straight out of the comics. And there's a deleted scene here as well with Jon Favreau's character, Happy. He was like in a golf cart or something. It just makes some joke,
but they didn't think it was really necessary for the movie.
I think Joe Russo was in that scene as well.
He might have been, but they didn't. The directors didn't think it was necessary for the film and kind of took away from the scene, so they cut it. And during their jog, after they have their little conversation, Doctor Strange opens up a portal and tells Tony that he needs his help, and Tony asks him who he is and who he's working with, and then Bruce Banner comes out of the portal as well, who Tony has not seen since 2015, which had been 3 years prior to this.
Which would be
a long time.
Yeah. Last time we saw him, what was that? Age of Ultron?
Age of Ultron, yeah. And that'd be just crazy to see.
Like 4 years. No.
Well, because that was back in 2018 when Infinity War was. So, yeah, 3
years. Was Age of Ultron
2015?
2015. Yeah, not 13.
Yeah. So, Age of Ultron 2015 was last time Tony saw Bruce Banner, and Infinity War took place in 2018, we think. And
yeah, it does.
So that'd been 3 years, and that'd be crazy to see a friend you haven't seen in 3 years that just randomly disappeared and comes back looking for you, asking for help.
Yeah, but either way, Hulk explains to Thanos what's pretty much happening or explains to Tony what's happening with Thanos, and while he's explaining, they explain the Infinity Stones, which they also explained in Guardians of the Galaxy. So if anyone's seen that one, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the Guardians franchise. Might be my least favorite MCU franchise, gotta be honest. Not that I don't like them. I just think comparatively, the movies are not amazing, which is really controversial because everyone likes the first Guardians. But
yeah, maybe one of these days we'll review one of the Guardians movies, or both of them.
Mm-hmm. And the third one's set to come out 2021 now, right?
I think 2021.
That was held back. Yeah. But yeah, so all this happens. The wind starts blowing. They freak out.
And it is revealed that a few members of the Black Order, Ebony Maw, and one other who is Corvus Glade. Something like that. Sorry, don't get mad if we don't know the exact name. But they come down from a big ring-shaped ship.
Donut.
Big circle. Donut. Whatever you want to call it. Ship from the sky. They're beamed down to Earth. And they tell Tony and the others, like Doctor Strange and Bruce and Wong, that they're there to take over the planet, take the Infinity Stones, and that Thanos is coming, and that's their master. And then there's a big fight scene, which Jaden will tell you about.
Well, yeah, so it cuts to Peter Parker. He's on the bus, and you can see the hairs on his arms go up as if a fan went on. Which I actually think I heard that the way they did that was they had someone, while they were filming that scene, blow in his ear, and it gave him the chills, and so the hairs on his arms went up. Which is actually kind of funny, but I did hear about that somewhere. But this is the first time we actually seen him have the Spidey senses in MCU, which was kind of cool to see. It's the only time he uses it, I believe, besides when he fades away at the end.
Well, that we get to see in the movie. I'm sure he uses it, all the time, but we just don't see it on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it cuts to him getting his best friend,
Ned. Well, also the Stan Lee cameo.
Stan Lee, yes, the great creator of Marvel, co-founder.
God bless his soul.
Co-founder of Marvel, and many of the characters. He's the bus driver in Infinity War, and that's his little cameo for the movie.
Well, you kids never seen a spaceship before?
Yes. And Peter gets his best friend Ned to cause a distraction so he can put on his Spider-Man mask and get out the window to go help fight the aliens that are coming down. And so he cuts to him swinging from underneath the bridge they're driving on towards the spaceship. And then we go back to Tony and Doctor Strange fighting the two Black Order characters.
Yeah. Anyway, they try to take the Time Stone. Doesn't happen. Spider-Man ends up going to space. He gets the Iron Spider suit, which is nothing like what the Iron Spider suit in the comics was like, which was more so red and gold, while this one was bluish red and
it's more like gold. His normal Spider-Man suit, but getting a metallic look to it and having more armor, obviously.
And it also has the legs.
Yeah, it's got some Iron Spider legs, just like the name.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this all happens. They go into the spaceship. They go into the spaceship, and Tony and Doctor Strange end up arguing. They end up in a fight with Ebony Maw. Is this where they kill him in here?
Yes. Just like in the movie Aliens, which is referenced in the movie. That's how they get this plan to blow a hole in the side of the ship, and the vacuum of space sends Ebony Maw out into the cold, dark vacuum of space, which kills him from freezing, and that's, how they kill him.
Yeah. And they end up millions of light years away from Earth, and other scenes occur. What happens after this? It cuts more to the Guardians. Guardians actually find Thor out in space, and they bring him onto the ship. They have some funny scenes about Peter Quill being jealous of Thor's manliness, and basically Thor and Rocket go off to is it Nidavellir where they craft this?
It's called Nidavellir. It's a dying star, but it's also a forge for weapons where these trolls, are they called? Dwarves. But they're not actually small dwarves. They're ginormous
small people. Ginormous short people.
Ginormous
dwarves. Which ironically is played by Peter Dinklage.
Yes, Peter Dinklage, who is a shorter person.
She's a short man.
A short man, yes. And who is widely known for his role on Game of Thrones as the Imp or Tyrion Lannister. And so that was very fans of that show, Game of Thrones, forgot it for a minute, sorry. We're very happy to see him.
Literally never seen a single episode.
Neither have I, but my family loves it, and they can't stop talking about it. It's very annoying. But
we're on the last season right now, right?
Yes, the final season's going on. We're not here to talk about Game of Thrones. We're here to talk about Avengers Infinity War, which is great.
Yep. Yeah, so back from Thor Ragnarok, we see Thor lose Mjolnir, which is his more rectangular, square cubed hammer. We see that break during not even a fight. He meets his sister Hela, throws Mjolnir at her. She stops it and breaks it. So he actually doesn't have Mjolnir anymore.
And no one thought that was possible to just break Mjolnir like that.
Mm-hmm. But Mjolnir's gone, so he hasn't had it like all film. He didn't have it at the end of, or not the end. He didn't have it at all during Ragnarok. And since he doesn't have it, he goes to Nidavellir to craft a new hammer, which is known as Stormbreaker in this film. Which another little comics reference right there to Beta Ray Bill, who one of my favorite superheroes. He's kind of like Thor. I can't remember what species he is, but he's an alien.
He's got a horse head.
He looks like a horse, and he was worthy enough to pick up Mjolnir. So Thor decides to bring it back to Odin in the comics, and Odin crafts him Stormbreaker, which looks a lot like the one in the film. Well, not really. It's more like a mallet with like a weird head thing, but
yeah, in the comics it's more.
It's like gold.
It looks smaller than the one in Infinity War. In Infinity War, it's like a giant axe, and it's more gray-looking metal for the head of the axe rather than just.
Yeah, it's like a gold.
Yeah, it's more gold.
One looks like an axe, and the other one looks kind of like a
mallet.
Mallet
or hammer.
Yeah,
like more of a classic everyday use hammer.
But yeah, so that's just a reference. I had to mention it since he was one of my favorite superheroes. He's also referenced in Thor Ragnarok when it shows the Gladiator Coliseum area,
the Champions Tower on Sakaar.
On Sakaar, it shows all the heads of champions. One of them actually is Beta Ray Bill, which was kind of cool. Some people claim to have actually also spotted him in the background of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I believe, in the collector's area. If you ask me, I saw the picture. Doesn't really look like him, but if it is, that'd be a cool reference. He's also in the Lego game, which I'll probably stop talking about Beta Ray Bill, but just know he's pretty awesome.
Yeah, if you want and you have time, maybe check him out. Look him up online. Beta Ray Bill. Read up on him. Watch some videos. He's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. He's cool. There's also like Throg and other
many Thor characters.
Yeah, that are worthy. But
yes.
Oh, there he is. Anyway, he crafts a Stormbreaker, which in the film he crafts the head, so it has the power of opening up the Bifrost, and after crafting it, Thor literally pulls the star, or pulls the rings around the star together, which is probably the most strength we've probably seen in the whole MCU outside of using any stones or anything like that. We see him pull those together, and he ends up making it possible for the dwarf Peter Dinklage to craft, or for him to like shoot power from the star, and it melts the bricks, which mold into the head of Stormbreaker.
Yes, the not iron ingots, but whatever metal they use, they don't really specify in the movie that. I don't think they did, but those ingots melt into just molten or liquid, very thick liquid, to go into the mold of Stormbreaker, so they can melt. Like
Uru metal is what it's called.
Uru metal, whatever. Uru metal,
or at least
according to.
Oh, that's Beta Ray Bill's. I don't know, probably something similar. But
regardless,
he crafts it.
They craft.
Unable to have a handle, Groot's with them. Sacrifices. Not much, because I guess he can just grow.
He cuts off his arm.
He cuts off his arm.
Make a handle for Thor to grab the axe and use it. And Thor is basically unconscious during this because of all of the pain he took in from using or having the full force of the dying star on him. It took it out of him, so he was kind of on the ground, barely alive, and then his fingertips kind of start getting lightning-y sparkly, whatever, and the axe starts floating in the air. But then it cuts to Wakanda, which
we're a little ahead. We haven't even talked about Gamora and stuff like that. But yeah, so we're a little bit ahead. But that was kind of that storyline of the film. And then there is also Thanos is, after getting the power and the Space Stone, he goes to Nowhere, which is it's a head of one of the...
It's a celestial being.
It's a celestial being. I don't think he's one of the Celestials. He could be, maybe. I don't know. But he goes to the Nowhere, and that is where the Power Stone is held, which is actually shown in the end credit scene of Thor: The Dark World. It shows
the Reality Stone.
Yeah, the Reality Stone, not Power Stone.
The Reality Stone, because that was one of the main
storylines.
The main part of Thor: The Dark World. That was what everyone was after. And
another unpopular opinion: not that bad of a movie, guys. Don't know why y'all are hating on it so much.
A lot of people hate Thor: The Dark World for some reason.
It was comparatively to other films, not a great film, but when you just take a step back and look at it, it was entertaining. It was like the first Thor, which that's probably my least favorite MCU film. It was like that, but it was more entertaining because they added a comedy aspect, and I just kind of I like the Infinity Stone, so that was kind of cool for it to be based around the Reality Stone. But yeah,
so at the end credit scene of Thor: The Dark World, one of the Asgardians who is close to Thor, he brings the Reality Stone in a container to the Collector, who we see in Guardians of the Galaxy, who's, a collector of...
Magnificent.
A collector of random things throughout the universe that are interesting to him, and this most certainly was. And so he kept it safely hidden from everyone for a few years at least. Yeah.
Thor: The Dark World, 2015, right? 2014.
Yeah. Okay, I think it was 2014.
Either way, he has that. Thanos gets a hold of it.
2013, actually.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Unbeknownst to the Guardians, he has the stone. Gamora kills what she thinks is him. It was just the Reality Stone tripping her up. He already has it. He takes Gamora with him wherever he goes to his home, the spaceship. Yeah, the Sanctuary 2. And after leaving them, the Guardians get back in the Milano. They dip. They actually end up on Titan, which is where Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and Iron Man end up being after being in the spaceship. It crashes on there, and they all meet, and they don't know where Gamora is.
And Titan is actually where Thanos was born in his home world. And didn't he kill most of the population there?
I think.
Yeah, we're pretty sure he killed most of the population because that's basically his goal. He thinks the universe is overpopulated and there isn't enough resources for everyone.
So there basically can't be peace with the amount of people, and he thinks prosperity is achieved once there's more items and stuff for people to.
But instead of using the stones to, make more resources, he just decides to wipe out half of the living creatures, which is cool. That's just how it be sometimes.
That is how it be sometimes. I actually like Thanos in this movie a lot. I think he has good motives. I think he's not doing it very well by, killing half of life everywhere. But I think he's actually a really likable character. He's not he's not sinister. He's relatable in this movie. Unlike an Endgame. And no more spoilers.
That's kind of what the directors wanted. They wanted to have a sympathetic feel to and a more relatable vibe for Thanos. So he'd seem more just like a person, like more of a hero, not necessarily, but not a villain per se. Because they didn't want the audiences to view him as a villain. Which was an interesting take on the character.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, for sure. He takes Gamora. he finds out that she knows the whereabouts of the Soul Stone. So keep doing this, but quick recap. He has the Reality Stone, Space Stone, Power Stone, and I believe that's all he has at the time. And so he gets Gamora by torturing her sister Nebula into telling him where the Space Stone is. And then it shows them teleport over to Vormir, which is a planet where...
It's a planet at the center of all celestial life.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Which is a pretty crazy thing.
Significant.
It's significant, which is cool.
They're there, and once they get there, they go up to the top of the mountain, and you'll never guess who's there, but it's Red Skull from the first Avengers. So when you see him get teleported away from the Tesseract, this is where he be. This is where he's at. I don't know how he became all ghosty ghost and spooky like that, but he's basically protector and guardian of the Soul Stone, and so the only way to get the Soul Stone is by sacrificing what you most love for the Soul Stone. A soul for a soul, if you will.
Yes, and keep in mind, I don't know how you keep it in mind because we haven't told you this, but no one has ever seen the Soul Stone or found out where it has been, except for Gamora, who was sent on a mission years before this that we never actually saw, but was referenced and talked about. She found the Soul Stone, but no one had seen it before, and she kept it a secret from Thanos, but she told Nebula, and that's why he was torturing her to find out where it is.
Yeah. So, Thanos decides to sacrifice Gamora. It's a sad scene for the film, for those who really enjoyed the Guardians film, so I can't say I was very upset about this one, but she dies, he ends up getting the Soul Stone, so at this point he has 4 of the stones, 2 more, he just needs to get the time, and the Mind Stone. So he ends up teleporting over to Titan 2, or Titan 2 is where he resides afterwards. So he's at Titan. While he's there, he finds the Guardians, Stark, and Doctor Strange, Peter, those guys. He encounters them and basically kind of fights them. It's a really cool scene, actually.
It's very cinematic.
Very cinematic, and a lot of CGI, but it's really good.
Marvel and Disney do a great job with their CGI. Sometimes they do maybe more than they should, but they do a good job, and it looks realistic in a sense. Mm-hmm. Not that, like huge energy beams of light are
exactly very real. But he ends up fighting them. Doctor Strange, as all this is happening, he decides to use the Time Stone, took out all possible futures, and out of 14,605,000, there's only one that results in Thanos losing. And then he says the line, "We're in the end game now," which has actually been spoken in every Avengers film, save in the first one, save in the second one, third one. So that happens. And so he gives him the Time Stone, and as the Time Stone was given to him, he basically goes over to Wakanda, where Cap is, and all the Black Panther guys, and they'll fight.
Yeah, we might not be super chronological. We've just been sticking with storylines, which I think isn't the worst way to do this review. So you don't get confused.
Definitely go watch it, though.
Definitely watch it. So,
if you haven't.
Earlier in the film, we see Vision and Scarlet Witch, who are kind of just living the simple life together. Kind of romantic.
Like Sweden or something?
They're either in Sweden or somewhere in Britain. Somewhere in Europe. And Vision has the Mind Stone. It's an Infinity Stone. It's called the Mind Stone in his head. Is what kind of powers him. It gives him power. And, well, obviously Thanos would want that stone. And so when they're fighting off some, I think it's Proxima Midnight and
Corvus Glade.
One of the two.
Or Blaze or Corvus Glaze?
Something like that. Sorry for not knowing all of these names. There's a lot of names in this movie.
Black Order, they aren't that very big of characters.
Yeah, the Black Order. But they're fighting them off, and they're losing this battle to the two of them.
Corvus Glaive. Yeah.
Glaive. All right. Yes, Corvus Glaive. Anyway, they're losing this fight, and then Captain America, not Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, and Falcon show up to back them up in their fight, which helps them win the fight against them, and they get away. But Vision is injured after this, even though he's a robot, so I don't really understand why he's injured. I guess he does have artificial intelligence, so he'd feel emotion. Anyway, they're thinking about removing the Mind Stone, so they could destroy it without killing him, and the only place technologically advanced enough to do this is in Wakanda. By Shuri, who's a very genius person.
Yeah.
And this Wakanda is a place in Africa, which the world at the time thinks...
No, they know about it.
No, they know about it at this point. But for a long time, they thought Wakanda was a very poor country.
Third
world poor country that just didn't accept charity. But they're actually a very technologically advanced place. Most advanced in the world because of all of the metal called vibranium they have. It's a very rare metal, good conductivity, good strength, everything. So they fly out to Africa to be at this place. And this is where one of the main fights of the movie happen with Thanos' army and the Wakandan army, as well as most of the heroes. And this is where Thanos goes after his fight on Titan. And Jaden, I will let you speak right now because I am tired.
They fight. It's a really cool fight to watch with all the Wakandan soldiers, but surprise, surprise, Thanos gets the Scarlet Witch and Vision are together, and they're fighting, and before Thanos gets to them, Scarlet Witch destroys the Mind Stone in his head, so he dies, and he just uses the Time Stone and goes back. Make sure that doesn't happen. He says no, and gets the Mind Stone. He becomes extremely powerful from all the stones running through his blood. Thor, Rocket, and Groot are here. They're fighting. Thor comes from the sky. He stabs Thanos in the chest with Stormbreaker, and he really should have aimed for the head, because at that time Thanos, with the gauntlet with all 6 Infinity Stones, snaps, removing half the life in the universe, and he basically says he nopes out of there and just kind of portals out to Titan 2, where he becomes a farmer for the rest of his life.
Yes. Cool. And right after the snap, it kind of just is ominous. Thanos leaves, and no one really knows what happened, and then suddenly people start disappearing or vanishing, dusting away from existence, and it's because half of living creatures are gone, and this is how they disappear. They dust away and vanish from existence, which is terrifying to see happen and very emotional for...
Especially since half everyone's loved characters that we've known for the last 10 years are just gone now, so that was a bummer.
Yeah, that was very hard to watch, and so some of these, not all of them, but some include, of the people who vanished, these people include Falcon, Bucky, Black Panther.
Not sure she survived.
Spider-Man, Peter Quill / Star-Lord.
Drax, pretty much all the Guardians.
All the Guardians except Rocket Raccoon.
And Gamora.
Well, Gamora had already been dead. Rough.
DED.
Yeah, and so it kind of ends with them losing, which really isn't that popular in...
That doesn't happen a lot in...
man versus man movies. It's normally the hero wins. It's a happy ever after. But in this movie, it's not like that. The villain, Thanos, wins, and the Avengers lost, and it kind of just ends with a sad ending. And we have to wait a year before Infinity War Part 2.
Well, we had to. No, we don't.
Now we don't, because the year's over of waiting. But Infinity War Part 2 / Endgame, whichever you want to call it, yeah, it we had to wait for that, but now we don't have to because we've seen it, and it was really good. It really wrapped up everything.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend seeing it. And so it was a very ominous ending, left you with a lot of questions that the directors just wouldn't answer because they're smart like that, and they wouldn't answer. And it was a very hard year of waiting.
Well, also the end credits scene of the film revealed Captain Marvel into the MCU.
Which we would see her solo movie taking place in the 90s.
March.
8 months? 8 months?
Well,
10 months. 10 months later.
Something like that.
Yeah. I did my math wrong.
The film came out, or did it come out February?
It came out in March.
Late February,
March
early
8th.
March, somewhere. Okay.
March 8th. 2019.
Yep. So that came out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Avengers Endgame. We might have not done the best job explaining it, but you guys should definitely go watch it if you haven't already. As I said earlier, definitely my favorite movie in the MCU, along with the first Iron Man and the original Avengers. Endgame is up there as well. Those four are probably my favorite films in the MCU. But tell us your thoughts on the film, if you've already watched it or if you go and watch it. Yeah, I don't know much else to say. Yeah, we're hungry. That's why.
We're going to end this now because we are hungry. Might order a pizza or something, but you probably don't care. I hope you enjoyed, and if you haven't seen Infinity War, go see it. And after that, go watch Avengers Endgame. It's in theaters right now. By the time you listen to this, maybe not, but hopefully it'll be on DVD or Netflix or some way to watch it by then. Disney Plus, yes. The new Disney streaming service coming out soon.
That
Disney
show
Plus
sounds kind of good.
Yeah. All right. Well,
what's his name?
Just cut this out later, Jade. We're not going to.
No, I'm gonna keep this in. As who plays Loki? Tom Hiddleston. Is he playing Loki in the show?
Yes, he's playing Loki in the show because it takes
Elizabeth
place
Olsen and other dude, they're not playing.
Yeah, they are.
The WandaVision, are they?
Yeah, and so in Disney Plus, there's 2 new shows coming out. Actually, 3.
3 because Falcon.
Yeah, so there's 3 shows coming out for Marvel. There's the Loki solo show, which takes place before Infinity War, obviously. Otherwise, it'd be a funeral show. And there's also one about Scarlet Witch and Vision, which will be interesting. It also takes place before. And the Winter Soldier and Falcon movie also comes out on Disney Plus, but we don't really know anything about that except that it's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's about it. So, movie on, I guess. Is that what we said last time? What did we say last time?
I don't think we had an ending. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Go watch movies, and because they're great, we don't really have an outro, so I think we're just going to end it here.
So, bye-bye.